after the foundation in SOA has laid, I feel that because you've taught for so many years and because of the work you do in civil society, and also because you are almost like the main watchdog for the SDG gaps. He's already explained how some of the gaps have been addressed. But can you throw more light on the subject of what barriers we have to access an education in Ghana? This is basic and secondary, and how serious these barriers are. Ms. Joyce Larnyoh, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Bernard. And I'll be grateful if I am allowed to share my screen. Otherwise, I'll go straight on.
Yes, you're allowed to share your screen.
Okay. All right, so the host disabled participant screen sharing. I don't know whether.
They will you shortly, so.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I would like to seize this opportunity to thank the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences for this wonderful opportunity to be a speaker in this forum. Indeed, education is my heartbeat, and I'm always eager in whatever is happening here. I want to take it at the level of the girl child, the barriers of education, the barriers that hinder the access to education. I also want to acknowledge UNESCO and UNICEF for some of the research materials that they had published, and I'm grateful to them. I also want to acknowledge.
You can share your screen now.
Oh, okay.
So try that whilst you do the acknowledgement.
And so
you are acknowledging UNESCO and others.
Yeah, and then all the research names that I used to come out with this presentation. I think it's a bit late now, so I'll go on straight to present. Mr. Nsowa has spoken about the foundations that established this whole education ministry or education of all our children in the country. And so I'm not going to go there. I'm also not going to go into the issues around the education being considered as a human right and all the protocols that we have ascribed to signatures that has been ascribed to some of these frameworks, international frameworks, not forgetting about the Constitution and all that. Now, I will go straight into the efforts that GS has made to make sure that every child has the full cycle of education by promoting universal access, retention, and completion. There are they have made other efforts in terms of protection of all vulnerable and marginalized children who are likely to lose out on education as a priority concern. And some of the issues Mr. Nsowa has spoken about it. Now, I want to go straight into the issue of COVID and the matters are arising in relation to girls' education in the country. The data that we have shows how our girls during the COVID were pregnant, and so when the school reopened, they just could not come back. And this is an issue we have been discussing and talking about. And indeed, sometimes I wonder whether we are trying to achieve the leave no one behind thing that we always talk about. So the data is very clear about how these girls have become pregnant during COVID. GES has taken a lot of steps to minimize this pregnancy at the pre-tertiary level. And so if a girl gets pregnant, are there any opportunities for reintegration? That's the question we are asking. So if you go back to the education concept as a human right in relation to economic, social, and political benefits, gender equality is key in some of these features and is articulated in the SDG 4 and then the SDG 5. The SDG 4 talking about ensuring equitable and inclusive quality education and promoting lifelong education for all. And then Goal 5, SDG 5, it talked about empowering all girls and women to achieve gender equality. So where are we in terms of our efforts to achieve SDG, which is so close in a matter of 10 years, 9 years, we will almost be there to give an account of our efforts. So we have considered the issues around the girl-child education and access to school. Recently, schoolgirls' pregnancy has been found to be a major factor preventing GS from reaching its goals. GS has also tried to take a lot of steps to minimize pregnancy in pre-tertiary schools. So if a girl, however, gets pregnant, there are opportunities for reintegration after school that we need to speak about and do advocacy on. The girl-child education is a significant contributory factor to economic development and a key to sustainable development. In this era of globalization, the education of the girl child is considered a strategic investment in human rights and intellectual capital. And that's why UNESCO alluded to the fact that women in literacy continues to be high due to our country's inability to enroll and retain girls in school. So the question is, how are we going about retaining our girls? Girls' education offers hope for breaking the cycle of feminine has similar effects on male and female incomes, but girls' education generates much larger social benefits. So some is attributed to the fact that incomes and leverage afforded and knowledge and awareness on the girl child cannot be overemphasized. That actually affects our girls at our pre-tertiary levels. And the first is the issue about poverty. Mr. Nsova spoke about certain social interventions that the government sought to bring to minimize the impact of poverty on education. We are also looking at certain negative social and cultural norms, poor parental attitudes to girls' education. You know, you all agree with me. If there's this boy and this girl, especially in a rural setting, the opportunity will be given to the boy because we have our rules that is certain by way of tradition and social norms to take care of the home. There are also not enough female role models to prove to our girls that it can be done. It is possible. And then certain inimical traditional and cultural beliefs and traditional gender roles standing in the way of the Ghanaian females' access to education. The absence of changing rooms in schools, talking about the special factors in relation to the distance from the home to the school. Now, gender inequality in Ghana's education sector, as already said, can be looked at from that spatial direction. So that if the school is far, rough, how can the girl access it? In times of maybe period, menstruations and all that, coming to school and not having the appropriate structures to change in case there is an issue of changing the girls' issues around the menstrual challenges. It becomes a problem. Now, if you look at the urban centers, there is a narrower gap between boys and girls in terms of those who can attain higher levels of education compared to in these rural locations are more likely to be married off at early age compared to their counterparts in the urban areas. Our cultural values that cherish childbirth puts pressure on the girl to prioritize childbirth at the detriment of their education. Now, poverty. Due to poverty, marry early to relieve them of the financial burdens. Some of the issues include the rate of teenage pregnancy and early motherhood in rural areas, which surpasses the urban areas because of the low family planning patronage.
You have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes, so you should be getting to conclusion. So
we are encouraging that the Ghanaian parents should invest and spend quality time on their sons and girls' education, as against the thinking that the boys' education should be much more prioritized and high-paying in relation to jobs than the female. It is, however, important that the Ghanaian parents change their stereotypical notions that girls from households where there is income inequality in favor of men will earn less income from education. And worthy of note is that if given an equal opportunity, girls from such homes can outperform their male counterparts in the pursuit of higher levels of education. That can a gender gap in wages on the Ghanaian labor market. So we recommend that concerning issues of this girls' pregnancy, there should be promotion of abstinence among school girls and boys. Awareness should be created on sexually transmitted diseases and pregnancy in schools. Capacity building for girl-child coordinators on pregnancy and re-entry guidelines should also be something the GAs should look at. Strengthening the girls' education units, increased capitation grants, incentive and scholarship schemes for needy girls. GES, in collaboration with development partners, should support with advocacy actions on the re-entry policy for young mothers that has been designed by UNICEF. And also, we propose that there should be revamping and retooling of the guidance and counseling unit in schools so that girls can receive constant guidance on how they can lead their lives to be able to complete schools. PTA, SMCs, traditional leaders, community members should also support in these advocacy actions. Teachers, teacher unions, key stakeholders should also be part, including the media. So to end it all, my emphasis is what COVID-19 has brought and the matters arising on school girls' education and issues around pregnancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I see your screen, but you're very graphic. So we've heard everything you've said. You've laid on the foundation, Honorable Director, former Director has laid by giving us the gender, the income, and the spatial dimensions to these barriers. So far, so good. We want to say to those who are